All right, well, this is just a quick video to look at 1750 favor. When we get to 1750 favor, we get a couple of big boosts. The first thing we get is a upgrade to 32 point build for all characters on this server, not just this character, but any character we make on this server. The second thing we get is a tome, and so if I look at my most important stats. Con is always important because it gives hit points. Strength is very important because it helps our damage. Charisma is good because it helps our damage and our saves, and intelligence is good because it helps our trapping. Wisdom is good because it helps our spell casting. We need a minimum of a 14 wisdom to cast level 4 spells, and in addition, dexterity is probably our least important stat because we have insightful reflexes on this build, and so we really don't need dexterity. Dexterity helps with balance, getting up from getting knocked down, and a few other things. But for the most part, balance is probably our weakest item. So if I sort of look at the top three and say, okay, these first three lives, I want to give I'm going to earn a 5 tome at level at 5,000 favor, and so I want to put that to strength, constitution, and charisma. And then I'm going to put the first +2 tomes to intelligence, wisdom, and dexterity. Uh, so, it might be like, well, maybe I should put the +5 to con and the +2 to strength because strength is more important than intelligence. And that's a fair point. But if we do it to different stats, so that we put our +5 tome to 3 stats and our +2 tome to 3 stats, at the end of the third life, we're going to have uh, all of our stats with the tome, and we're going to ultimately be more powerful. So we're going to look at it with more of a long-term view and say, +2 is good, but we want to make sure we're thinking about this from a longer-term perspective. And so this life, I'm sort of up in the air. Do I want to, between con because that gives more hit points, strength because that gives more damage, and even charisma because that helps a little bit with damage and a little bit with save. So they're all good. I'm leaning towards con just because hit points is always good, and it's something we always want more of. So I'm leaning towards con this life, strength next life, and then charisma the next life for the +5s. And then after that, we'll look at probably intelligence, wisdom, and dexterity. So +2 tomes, I think the priority for the lower three would be intelligence, wisdom, and dex, because with wisdom we need it. It helps with will saves. Um, it helps with spell casting, but the the wisdom minimum isn't doesn't have to be base stat. It could also be gear. So I'm going to take intelligence here for my tome, and then our next question is: we were given this Lesser Heart of Wood. Um, you have to make sure you take this before you use this Lesser Heart of Wood, of course. But we were given this Lesser Heart of Wood to do a Lesser TR. Now, this is one of those things that no matter what you do, you're going to probably wish you did it differently. There's always going to be a time you wish for that you had a lesser heart, and even if you use it at those times, you're going to wish you saved it because there's always going to come up with situations where you tried out a new build, it didn't quite work the way you thought it would, and you just want to change it up. So these are available in the DDO store. They're not too expensive when they're on sale. Uh, as a total free to play player, as I am on this account, I probably won't be able to ever buy a Lesser Heart of Wood anytime soon. So this might be the only one I have for a good long while. I mean, they do drop in chests, but very very rarely. I mean, you might go years and not see one of these in a chest. They're very very rare, more rare than tomes. So if you use it, you'll probably always wish you had not used it whenever a situation comes up where you want to respec. On the other hand, using it now, you'll never gain more power from the lesser tome or lesser heart of wood than you will right now. For two reasons. One, because the intelligence tome is going to let us redo our stats. In other words, if when we have this intelligence tome, we're going to be getting more skill points. So I've been having to take half ranks in spot. Now I'll be able to take full ranks in spot. Secondly, we get the 4 build points from here. So we're getting 6 build points, and we'll never probably get that opportunity again unless maybe we get, we get the 8 plus 8 Supreme Tome at some point in the future. But even then, we're only going to go from a +2 to a +5 to a +8, so it's pretty marginal compared to this. We're truly, we're when you get a tome, you get those benefits immediately. With the 32 point build, you only get those benefits if you use your Lesser Heart of Wood. So I'm going to show you how to use this. I suggest you save it unless you really want to get that extra power, and that's certainly not a bad idea, because as I said, you'll never get more power from it than now, even though you will in the future wish you saved it. And then secondly, this first life is going to be tougher than the next life and the following life and the following life. So you're never gonna be in a position to use that power more than you are right now. So for that reason, and also because I just want to get it out of my inventory, I have a lot of inventory, low space, and I really don't want to save this. So I'm going to go ahead and use it. But because of the way the recording software works, I'm going to have to break this up into 2 videos instead of 1. So this first video is going to be just getting our 17 to 50 favor and our +2 tome, and then going to the Hall of Heroes, which is by the bank. So basically, if you're standing in front of the bank, you just go down the stairs, kind of circle under, and this is the Hall of Heroes. And from this entry point, we just want to go down, so we just take a quick left here and go down. And we want to go to the Reincarnation Grove, which is right over here, next to this Epic Trainer. So this is where all your lesser reincarnations are done. This is where your restarting true reincarnations are done. Anything of that nature. So sometimes the game will give you like a +20 heart, or if there's some big change, they've done that one time. So this is where you use any of those. To use the heart, you just talk to Life Shaper, and she'll give you various options. And I'll just kind of go over these real quick. This is when you want to respec and start over at 1, and that gives you some past life benefits. This is if you want to just do what we're going to do. See, this is a lesser Heart of Wood, and this is a lesser reincarnation. This just basically lets us respec and rebuild our character. Now, we're not going to really respec it. We're going to, pretty much build the same build as before. We may want to think about, we have more spell points now, so we might want to think about, instead of taking magical training, maybe we'll take the Dragon Mark of Passage instead. So that would be, one option. And then the iconic True Reincarnation. That is if you're an iconic character. We don't currently, as a free-to-play account, have any iconics. If we buy any with our DDO points in the future, then we'll be able to use this option. Epic Reincarnation, that is when you want to go from 30 down to 20, and that gives you some power. This all might be a little confusing right now, but I think basically when we get to 30, we're going to do an Epic Reincarnation and a Heroic True Reincarnation. And so we'll explain that at 30. But for right now, we're going to do this lesser reincarnation. And so I'm going to use this heart. There's no undo on this, so you really, really want to make sure you want to use this. You just type in your name, your character name, confirm, and it's done. At this point, you can't undo it. So now when I log out, I will have the option to, oh, and before we do this, we want to take this tome, right? So very important if we did this. So if we take this tome, all future levels, we would gain the benefit of the +2 intelligence tome. That's if we didn't do this lesser reincarnation. Now that we've used this tome, we are going to be able to uh, use it, basically get the benefits of the intelligence all the way starting at level 2. For level 1, you never get the benefit of the tome. It's just a limitation of the system since before tomes applied at level 1. But starting at level 2, we'll get that extra skill point. So our spot should be just 1 behind our search and disable instead of 5 behind at this level. All right, so at this point, you don't have to reincarnate right away. You could quest some more. You could do whatever you want to do. But generally there's a few things I try to do. For one is there have been some issues with reincarnation, so I typically undo all my gear, because when you reincarnate, it's all going to come off anyways. And I just always undo all my gear, put it back in sort of the same positioning here. And I do this on a regular reincarnate too. Now the system will properly put everything in your backpack, but it's a tricky thing, and there have been some issues with reincarnate. So I do this, and then the other thing I do is I do a full log out of the system all the way back out, not just to the character selection screen, but a full exit. So I'm going to go ahead and exit to log out now, and not sure when the video will end here, but I believe if I do this, this will take me back to my character screen. So this should still be recording. This is still within my character screen, and then you'll have this option to reincarnate. But what I recommend is don't click on this button. Instead, exit the game and go all the way out, and basically start with a new session. In fact, I even reboot, just because I've read on the forums these horror stories about people reincarnating and having problems. And the devs have pretty much said if you log out and exit out, you won't have a problem. Now, I don't think you'll have these problems. They're very rare, but I think it's best to be safe, and so you should just exit all the way out and then come back in. But my recording software is tied to the game, so I can get the game sounds included, and so therefore I'm going to stop the video and make a second video with the actual reincarnation.